Good evening, everybody. I am Sonia Schoenfield, the genealogy librarian here at Cook, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the third program in our Genealogy Academy series. Tonight, we're going to look at free genealogy websites. This will be a little different from the two previous classes that we've had. Those went into great depth about one genealogy site per program. First, we had Ancestry, Library Edition, and the second one was Family Search. Those two videos, if you missed them or want to see them again, are available on the Cook Memorial Public Library's YouTube channel. But tonight, we're going to do something a little different. It's more of a flyover, and we're going to cover several sites. I hope you find at least some of them useful. And sorry here, I'm gonna let some more people in. I hope you find some of the sites useful that we see here tonight. And they're all good to know about. Genealogists know about all of these, so I'm kind of bringing you along here. They're the kind of sites that we talk about having in our genealogy toolbox. We won't use them all the time like we do with Ancestry and Family Search, but we need to know about them when we need to use them. We need to know we're there. First, though, let's talk about the differences between databases and websites. Databases usually involve a fee. You have to pay to use them. There's a certain amount of oversight that is involved. There's organization, some kind of group like managers or directors or some people that are kind of planning for the future that have the best interests of this in mind, as well as gathering the data for the database. On the other hand, websites are almost always free. Anybody can put up anything on the website, so there's no oversight as far as the validity of the information that's there. And the organization of the website kind of depends on the person who's making the website, the webmaster. So maybe it goes without saying, but some websites are going to be better than others. Some well put together, some maybe a little chaotic. So these are some things to keep in mind when you come across a free website and it doesn't do what you think it maybe should. But ask yourself, who's behind this? How did this come to be? Where did they get their information? And those are some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight as we look at for these. Tonight we're going to cover some of the more popular websites in genealogy and hopefully some of the better ones. The purpose is not so much to give you an in-depth look at each website, but more to let you know the strengths and weaknesses of each site, to give you some tools, ways to evaluate these websites, and use not only these, but other websites that you might discover on your own. I don't claim to be an expert on any one of these websites, but I have used them and most successfully to one degree or another. So I can recommend them to you. Genealogy is so popular and new websites are popping up all the time. But there are a few classic websites that everybody should know about. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Each person's research is different though. So I'm going to just let you know or tell you that what the sites that I tell you about tonight are not the be all and end all. You're probably going to need to find some sites of your own, and the first site that we talk about will go into that. So think of this as a springboard, and maybe can give you some ideas of other places that you can find websites to help you with your genealogy. Sorry. So tonight's websites, I hope everyone got the handout. It should have been mailed to you before about 4 o'clock or so. So if you think you don't have it, check your email before you let me know. So tonight's websites are going to talk about some general genealogy sites, some subject-specific sites, some non-genealogy sites, and then I'm going to encourage you to add your own or find your own, because like I said, your research is going to take you in a different place than mine does probably. The first website we're going to talk about tonight is called Cindy's List, and this is the web address, cindyslist.com, and it should be on your handout as well. Cindy's List has been around for about 26 years. So it's a tried and true website. We call it a portal because what it does is kind of gather and organize websites to help you navigate and find other ones. Its purpose is to kind of provide a list of categorized links for genealogy research to help you find what you need in your research. Cindy has literally hundreds of thousands of links on her website, and it's continually updated and monitored. But good to know that it's pretty much a one-woman show. So I think poor Cindy has devoted her life to this website over the last quarter century. And I think she's done a great job. She does have some help from her son, I believe. Most good basic websites can be found here. And I find this a good place to use if you're stuck or starting a new area of research that you're not familiar with or don't know where to go. This is the one site that we're going to take a really in-depth look at to see how to evaluate future websites. So let's go to Cindy's List here. Right across the top, you know where you are, Cindy's List. And there's a way to follow Cindy. Here's a nice place that says About Cindy's and the FAQs. So if you have questions about how this website came to be or how it's managed, you can look here. And that is the site. That is one sign of a good website that tells about itself. And I guess transparency is the word. It'll let you know about itself, so it doesn't hide anything about where they're getting their information from. There's a search box up here. Kind of easy to miss, but it is kind of important way to be a little more specific about what you're looking for, but don't use that right away. Okay, and the next section down is a home button. And I think the Cindy's List icon or brand up here does the same thing. If you've kind of, fallen into a rabbit hole on this website and you want to start over or get out of it, you can always look for the home button. Then there's a section of categories, which we'll come back to in a minute. What's new shows you new links, and there's also a place to shop and support us. And you'll find this with a lot of free websites, is that they ask for support or have ads. If you haven't noticed already, there are going to be ads popping up here. Keep in mind that's what we give up to have a free website. We don't have to pay to use this, but they're getting money from the ads. Also, I'm just gonna, click here. See, here comes an ad. Here's a list of the new websites that have been added, and look, she almost every day is adding new websites, but these two sections here stay the same. So here's the home button. If I wanted to support Cindy and go to this section, I can go back to the home section very easily. On the left-hand side here, I think this is good organization. We've got categories, which is kind of the main part of the web page. And again, we'll come back to this. Plus, there's a little bit of redundancy, which is good because some people might gravitate to this section that says categories and some people might notice this on the left. Either way, you're going to get to the same place. Also, more ways to follow Cindy. She's looking for followers. If you want to keep up with the website, you can follow her on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or follow her blog. She's got a mailing list, and again, ways to browse new links. Cindy gets a lot of her new links from viewers supporting her. So if you find a link on your own and think, I wonder if Cindy has that, and you don't find it here, submit it to her. Add to the knowledge of genealogy. Another way to help is to report a broken link, and she has that here as well, or to update something. Okay, I'm going to see if I can push this down, get rid of that one at least. Okay, so on the right, I'm going to go back up to the top here. There's ways to donate again. Excuse me. And she even says, why donate to Cindy's list? She'll let you know why. Because it takes a little bit of money to keep this running. This is kind of fun. She's got a news feed here on the right. Kind of a news feed in Cindy's list daily to keep you up to date with what's going on in the genealogy world. Kind of a good way to get a feel for what's new in genealogy, what's going on, kind of important topics, that kind of thing. And then here in the center, we have the meat of the website. First, it tells a little bit of the site, and then we've got some testimonials and few statistics, and then a way to browse categories alphabetically. So you can go directly to a letter of the alphabet if you know what you're going to look for. So my first example here tonight is going to be Poland. Say you just found out you have some Polish ancestors and you don't know where to start. What are you going to do? Besides wading through all the ads here. Now, these are all the categories alphabetically that start with P. And where is Poland? Right here. So we'll click on that. And now you can see in a minute that she's kind of got a category index and related categories. Probably other countries around Poland that might be related to that. But I like to start out with this one called locality specific. Maybe there's a specific area of Poland that I'm looking for called Galicia. And here we have finally a list of her links, but maybe I'm looking through this real quickly and not finding anything. One of the things that I like to do, this is just a little added bonus here, up on the top right part of my screen, I'm using the Chrome browser. There are 3 dots, and that gives me a lot of other options to use in the website. This doesn't have anything to do with Cindy's list. This is the website. And there's a find function. You can also use Control F for that. And this gives me a little search box in which I can type Galacia, which I'm not typing correctly because it's not coming up with anything. It's Gali. And you can see right away that places on this web page light up or are highlighted. And this one specifically tells me that this Galician German descendants or genealogy of Eastern Galicia, excellent starting point for researching in Ukraine. So if I want to take a look at that, I click on it. It opens up a whole new website and bang, ready to go. I want to evaluate this and see what is useful for it, but Cindy's list has helped us get there. As another example, and I'm going to go back just a little bit here, let's look at the possibilities for birth, marriage, and death. Again, we can use our search function here, or the find function, and use the little arrows to kind of find our way through it. This leads us to the All Galicia database. So again, this looks like something that I might be interested in. It doesn't hurt to take a minute to look through all the different possibilities here, because remember, I'm unfamiliar with this territory, so I might find something else like the Polish Genealogical Society down here, even though it doesn't have anything specifically to do with Galicia. It's Polish, and probably one of the things that I would like to look into later. Let's go back to Cindy's list, and I'm just going to show you what happens when I use the search box up here on the right. Let's say my great-grandfather was a Mason, and I want to take a look at some websites that might help me learn about how to do that. I think it's important to point out, and it's a little tiny, but if you look closely, you can see that the first 3 or 4 sites that are coming up here are ads. So again, this is how Cindy is making some money and helping to support this endeavor, and we're all in favor of her keeping her website up. So these are websites that are not vetted by Cindy herself, but are advertising on here. So let's go down here to the, and you can kind of see very lightly, there's a box or a line. That's the distinction between the ads and the web and the websites. Now, as I go through this, I'm seeing that there's a lot of Mason counties that this is bringing up, not having to do with Masons, the group, but here's one that's called Societies and Groups Fraternal Organizations. So that might be something that I would want to look into later, or possibly use the term Freemasonry. But again, we're not doing an in-depth search here. I just wanted to show you how that search box works. So that's Cindy's list, and I hope that you'll give that a try. Because it can lead you to the good websites that you might be needing to use if you're starting, like I said, a new area, or maybe you're kind of stuck and want to know if there's anything out there that might help you break down that brick wall. Okay, that's Cindy's list. The next one is another old timer in the world of genealogy websites called US GenWeb. And the website is usgenweb.org. As I said, it's old, but it's still useful. It was actually established in 1996, which is pretty early in the days of websites, or even the internet in general. Each state and county on here is different, both in style and in content, because there's no overarching group or organization by any one person or company. And you'll see that in a minute, but it's all run by volunteers, genealogy volunteers, and each county has its own look and feel and own bit of information that they brought together. I think I should stop talking about it and show you what I mean. Whoops, we're going too fast here. Let's look at GenWeb before we get into those. Okay, so here's the main GenWeb page. And again, there's an About Us section. So look at that. They even have bylaws and more information on, again, how to support. And the meat of, and here it says they have celebrated their 25th anniversary. There's a map of this country here, and you can choose a state by either clicking on this arrow or clicking on the map. I love maps, so I'm going to click on that. And we're going to do some research in Hendricks County, Indiana. So this is what Indiana looks like. They have a what's new here thing. They have links on how to be a volunteer. What I want to know is, how do I find the counties in Indiana? And again, here's a county selection map. Hendricks County is right down here, or I don't know if you noticed, there's also a drop-down menu here where I can find Hendricks County alphabetically if I don't know where it is. So here's Hendricks County. You can see it's part of the US Gen website. States have their own web projects, and then counties. So all kinds of stuff here, and kind of just arranged by topic that genealogists would be interested in. Biographies, birth records, cemetery records, and really there's no way how to use it to know how to use this until you start clicking on it. That's another thing about a lot of free websites, is that you have to be willing to explore and play, which is not a bad thing. I think as genealogists, we're all pretty eager to find out how something works. So our first example, I'm going to go to obituaries and see if they have any obituaries here. You'll notice that a lot of them say not stored on this site. That means that they're linking to another site, like obituary indexes in different places. This one, however, deaths from the Republicans year in review from quite a long time, is on this site. So let's click, and we can see that it looks like a list of alphabetical names, last name, first name, and issue, which if we read this, you'll see that it was, they appeared in the year in review in the first or last issue of the year. And it's an index of the transcription of deaths listed in the year in review. So if I use my little find feature up here in the right-hand corner, now I'm going to look for the name Foley, which is the family name that I'm researching. And here's a whole bunch of Foleys, including Eliza Leach Foley, who I think this is her death date, August 14th, 1913. What do we do with it though? There's no link here, nothing to click on. Was this going to get us anything? It's not doesn't look like it's telling us where an obituary is to be found. We might have to go to that paper. Just going to click through a lot of these quickly. Again, they have some biographies of individual people, an index to biographies in a particular book, an atlas of Hendricks County, Indiana, not on this site. So looks like they've pulled together a lot of things, birth records, biographies. It's pretty easy to look through, and after you've looked at a couple pages, you kind of get the way that this site is working. So pretty easy to use. Where is my obituary section? Because I didn't finish going through that. The other link that I wanted to show you is this first one here, this Hendricks County, Indiana obituaries database. That sounds good. And I like the way that they have given, one or two sentences about what this is. Searchable index of obituaries from Hendricks County newspapers maintained by the Plainfield Public Library. Well, this is a link here, so let's click on that. You can see it's opening up a new tab here for the Hendricks County obituary database. It's a little hard to see, but there is, there we go. Like, this doesn't look like the way I looked at it before. Click here to search the database. The first time I used this, I kind of went through and read what this is all about, but just for time's sake and an example, I can put in the name Foley and Eliza, the name of the person that I saw before, and search. And here she is, Eliza Foley, date of death, August 9th, 1913. So what we saw before was an article in a newspaper, I think. But we have her date of death here, given to us by the Plainfield Public Library. if I go back to that site, now I can use that information to email or mail a request for the obituary, which I did. And I got the obituary in within 24 hours. The next day, someone from the Plainfield Public Library had emailed me a digital copy of the obituary. So it was a pleasure to work with this library, and I hope that people feel the same when they do request things from us. But this is kind of the way libraries work. And just as a reminder, we got to this place from the Hendricks County, Indiana GenWeb site. So go through this and see what your counties, what all the counties look like that you're researching, and if you can find any good information from any of them. I thought I'd just go back to the very beginning and show you another state. Just you can see how this one is very, very different. And I'm not even sure where oh, here's the county section right here. So there's a list of counties. You can choose your own county. Whoops, URL not found. Well, something bad has happened there. And remember that, you know, this is old, run by volunteers, and maybe they're not keeping it up. But this one has moved, and so now we can go here and look at that. So this gives you an idea of GenWeb is kind of clunking along and doing the best they can. This one needs to be adopted, it looks like. So sometimes it's hard to find volunteers to keep these things up, but we're grateful for the ones that they do. So despite these problems, I would say give GenWeb a try. If your county doesn't have much information, then you just lost a little bit of time. But if it does, and you find something that you've had a hard time finding, then it's gold. So that's US GenWeb, good to know about. All right, you might be surprised at the next one, which is Family Tree Magazine. Family Tree Magazine obviously is a magazine that you would subscribe to. So you might be thinking, why are we including this? Well, I found that this website has a lot of good free information. If you make an account, you can download things or have them email you charts, things like that. I find it to be a reliable source of, like I said, charts, ebooks, tips, good information, because they have that oversight of a magazine that is putting out good, reliable content. But this is also an example of how free sites can kind of be bait and switch. So you might be going along thinking something is free and then get to a point where you have to pay. And this is not a kind of place where obviously you're not going to find any information on your ancestor, but it's going to provide you a lot of good information to make you a better genealogist and kind of help you along in your quests. So let's take a look at this. Family Tree Magazine. Of course, they want you to subscribe, and here come the ads. 10 essential genealogy research forms. If you want that, put in your email address, and there you go. But no, thank you. I'm not going to do that right now. So across the top, get started and explore by topic. Here are all the different ways that you can look at and use this website, as well as information. See, here's something already, the US Census Genealogy Cheat Sheet. That'll cost you $10. But this particular article on the 1950 census, you can read more. And if you click on it, there's an article, or actually it's a research guide with the table of contents. Let's see, can we really get to this? Oh, yep, it's just one long article. So that's pretty good. Now I have found with this that there's only so many articles that you can look at in a month or a particular time. So you might have to wait or not get everything that you're looking for. But there are other things that are free no matter how often you look at it. So let's take a look at this section here that's called websites. They have a list of the 101 best websites that they do every year. And like big genealogy websites, family tree and sharing websites. So if you, isn't there, but there was one that said best free websites. Yeah, it's over here. So if you want to see how I did with picking out these websites, or maybe this is another place where you could find more websites that might be helpful to you. Best genealogy websites for beginner, free DNA websites. There's just a lot of good information here. And speaking of DNA, on this section here, there are going to be articles about how to select a DNA test, what to do when you get your results, Q&A, that kind of thing, as well as heritage. So if you wanted to read a little bit more about doing German, Austrian, and Prussian research, here you go. Here's that bait and switch I told you about. They're trying to sell you a $10 cheap German genealogy cheat sheet. But they've got a little thing here about tracing your German genealogy. And it's an article that might have been in there. And see, it's telling me I've got one free article left this month. So maybe that's 3 articles a month that I get. So choose wisely, but I'll come back next month and read some more. Over here, there's also more free resources. So if you don't want to be bugged by asking for subscriptions or to pay for anything, this is a good part of the website to check into. They've even got free ebooks here. If you looked at all genealogy ebooks, you would find that you have to pay for some of them, but some of them are free. And that's what we're all about in this section, right? Looking at things for free. Reference guides, genealogy forms, as well as a podcast. So take a listen, see what you can find there to help you out. I also think it's kind of fun that they have a way to involve kids in genealogy, and then they have some projects and ideas if you're the crafty sort, or even are going to do a family reunion. I've got a lot of good ideas in here, and just like I said, keep your eyes open. It'll be, there's a lot of good free information on this site. All right, lots of ads. Even the not so free websites have ads. So that's Family Tree magazine. Next is Find a Grave, which really is one of my favorites. findagrave.com is the website. And they encourage you to make an account, although you don't have to have an account to use it. There are just some extra things that you can do if you have an account. Yes, it's run by very enthusiastic volunteers, and we'll get into that in a minute. And if you do make an account, you can contribute too. So let's take a look at this and see how this works. It's pretty simple. Again, we're getting ads here. So yep, it's a free website, and they got to pay for it somehow. Where is there a place to find out about this? It says memorials, cemeteries, contribute, forum, store. Not much information about how this works. But am I missing anything here? I don't think so. Here's your Find a Grave icon up here to get back to the home page. What Find a Grave is made up of are memorials, they're called, which are pictures of gravestones along with information about the person who is buried there. And it was started by somebody who was interested in famous people. So he started going around and taking pictures of famous graves and putting up information, and it kind of morphed into this website that has all kinds of graves of everybody. Let me give you an example of how this works, and we'll talk more about the site as we go on. I have an ancestor named Esther Foley, part of the Foley that I was looking for in Indiana, although I happen to know that she is buried in Nevada. One thing that you might want to know, and this is kind of a giveaway actually here, does this, when you type in something, this is giving me some possibilities of other places. Does that remind you of anything? Ancestry. If you said Ancestry, you would be right. Ancestry owns Find a Grave now. So they've haven't done too much to it, but at least with the searching, they've kind of helped us out a little bit and given us some possibilities or suggestions for searching like they do on their own website. Okay, so here's Esther Foley. She died in Nevada. When I click search, here is her memorial. And it has her name, it has a picture of her grave, her dates, tells me what cemetery she's at, where that is, and her plot, the plot information if I wanted to go visit her grave. When I click on this, there's more information available. Now I have to say that look down here on Memorial ID. When you view the source of this, you can see who put up this information. And yes, that would be me. I'm just going to go back here. Whoops, where'd she go? There she is. So I knew about Esther. I contributed all this information, including a transcription of her obituary, but I didn't have a picture of her grave. So you'll notice right here, it says request photo, and that's what I did. I clicked on this and said, please, can you take a picture of Esther Foley's grave site? And this nice man, Jim Herman, did, and put it up there. And that's the way Find a Grave works, pretty much. So if you are looking for a person and your ancestor is not there, you can sign in, make an account, put up a memorial with their information. You do have to know where they're buried, but and someone else can maybe provide the picture for you. I just think this is pretty cool because not only did he take a picture of the grave, you know, looking down, obviously it's a flat stone in the ground, but he took a picture kind of the surrounding of where it's located. And I'm going to make this a little bigger. He also, oh no, that not on this one because this is hers. But another thing that Find a Grave can do is tell you family members and kind of connect people. So her husband is buried there with her. But on his grave, looks like the same picture. It says here, no headstone for Charles Foley cremains. So her husband must have been cremated. But you can get a lot of good information about someone if their memorial has been put up, or you can contribute to it if you know something yourself. Just another example here. I'm going to go look up my grandfather who lived and died in Aurora, Illinois. When I look him up, there's nothing there. Now, if this were a case of there being no memorial for him, here's the place at which I could add a memorial. And you can see all this explore more. look for him in newspapers, military records, blah, blah, blah. Here's the little ad sponsored by Ancestry. So that's another way you can tell that Ancestry is involved in this. But I'm not going to add a memorial because I was pretty sure that that's the right place. So I'm going to do another search and widen it out a little bit and just put in Illinois. I mean, I've been to the grave, but I don't remember where it is. So maybe I have that wrong. So a couple of Berts come up, and this is my Bert right here, Burton Gustav Falk. He's buried in Batavia, in a cemetery in Batavia, which if you think about it, that happens quite a bit, that the cemetery is not in the town where the person lived. So just to be aware of that as you're searching things. I did not put this up. Who put this up? Chard. I have no idea who Chard is. But somebody named William Tabor has, like, let's see, Mike has put up the picture. There's my grandma and grandpa right next to each other there. Interestingly, William Tabor has put up a registration card. I don't know, he must be doing some research on him. I'd be interested to see what his research is. So also interested to see that there was a memorial to my mom, which again, I did not put up. Now, something that you can do, and I did this under suggest edits. Oh, I'm not going to sign in right now, but you can, well, maybe I will, and just show you how this works. If I can remember my, yes, okay. So, of course, now it's gone. Anyway, that thing that says suggest edits, that's what it used to say. And one of the possibilities there was, oh, I can't remember the terminology, but it was like, you know, click this if you want to manage this memorial. And I thought, you know, this is my mom. I want to be in charge of what information goes up there. So if anybody else wanted to put up any more information, now they will have to come through me instead of this person. This has changed a little bit and made me aware of some things about Find a Grave that I didn't know before. So if you are a little squeamish about privacy or identity and putting things out there, it's good to know that Find a Grave is run by a lot of, I said before, enthusiastic volunteers. And what a lot of them do will kind of cull or scan through obituaries and or death notices or whatever, and just put up memorials for people that they don't know or aren't related to. And I think that must be what happened in my mom's case. My husband's father just died recently, and there was also like within the past month, he passed away. Well, 2 months maybe, but he also had a memorial that was put up very quickly. No picture of the grave, but a memorial. So it's kind of interesting and a little spooky, I think, that people are doing this, putting up memorials for people that they don't know. But the fact that you can easily have the management of it transferred over to you, at least kind of puts the control in your court. Even if you don't ever do anything about it, nobody else can change it or add to it without going through you. So yeah, that's a lot of information. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's good to know about. I wanted to follow up with my Eliza Foley, who died in Indianapolis, or who was buried there. Here she is, Eliza Ann Leach Foley. No grave photo yet. So I could click this and say, and request a photo. And how it works on the back end is that there are people who have agreed to take pictures in the Indianapolis area or whatever. So an email goes out to them and says, will you take this picture? And if they do, then they put it up. But another interesting thing that you can do, and down here, you can see that she has a lot of siblings. There's her son, Charles, her spouse, her parents, and so they're kind of all connected. And if you have an account and have put up a memorial, there's a way to connect them. There's also a way, I think it's kind of interesting that the name of the cemetery is a link. So it will take you to the Find a Grave site for that cemetery, which tells you that there are over 212,000 memorials. That doesn't mean that's how many people are buried there. That's how many memorials there are. 48% of those memorials are photographed. It tells you a little bit about the cemetery, and you can search within it. So if I wanted to know about other Foleys that were buried in the cemetery that they have made memorials for, there's 39 of them there, and it might give me some clues or ways to find other relatives, ancestors. I did like that list of her siblings there, which I haven't delved into yet. So obviously somebody's doing some research and putting them together. I think that's all that I was going to tell you about that there. Also, if you have an account, another thing you can do is make virtual cemeteries. So you can make a cemetery of, you can make your own cemetery of, you know, everybody in your family, or you can make a cemetery of people who are from a particular country or place. You can kind of do these virtual cemeteries that are all your own and not bound by where they're actually buried. Okay, so that's Find a Grave. Kind of proceed with caution. It's good to know the background. I'm thinking about putting something in my next newsletter about that too. Maybe if I have, when I write it, I'll be a little bit more coherent than I'm talking about it here. But so that's a drawback and something good to know about anyway. But again, it has good information, I think. Something that obviously remember that these are not primary sources. So anything that you find on here, you would want to verify. But a good free website for what it does, I think. Okay, next. We're going to just dip our toe into the One-Step Pages by Steve Morse. Interesting guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but his website is just stevemorse.org. That's STEVE Morse.org. It's not .com and it's not .ph. Those are totally different. I think one of them's a rock star or something. Okay. Anyway, this is a site that you might not use much, but every good genealogist knows about this site, so I want you to be aware of it. Steve Morse is a computer genius and loves, has a passion for computers and a passion for genealogy, so he's kind of married them with this website. It's kind of an alternative search engine to websites like Ellis Island and passenger lists and census. When a new census comes out, like the 1950 census just did, Steve Morse is on the site, on the spot with a way to search. So let's stop talking and take a look at this. Whoops, I did it again. Sorry. I need to click here, and we'll go to stevemorse.org. It's not flashy. I think this might be another one that's been around for a while. And on the left-hand side here is kind of his table of contents of things that he has applied his one-step search to. He does do public appearances and lectures, and you might find him speaking at some web or genealogy societies around the area. So you can see that there's a lot about passenger lists, census, even things on vital records. It's worth dipping into and exploring. Basically what he has done is put together a one-step search process or one-step web page that you can use to search another website. The example here that I'm going to use is Ellis Island, and he's got several ways to search the Ellis Island webpage. But this is basically how it's put together. It's a huge website where you can put in as much or as little information that you want. I'm just going to put in a basic name to show you what the information looks like when it comes up. I did try doing a search with sounds like, and it took a long time. So know that there's a lot going on in the background there. If you know that they came with someone, so I'm just putting in the name Charles Bassett here. If you know your ancestor came with someone, you can put a first or last name that it's like in there. You can put in a ship name, year of arrival. I'm going to put in 1920. And if I do 1920 to 1920, then there we go. Don't know a month or day. You can check ethnicity if you want to, any other kind of information that you want to add, and click search. In this case, it comes up with two possibilities. One person, Charles A., has a residence in Bermuda, the other one does not. Interesting that their ages and birth dates are similar. When it says view passenger record, when you click on that, it takes you to the Ellis Island website. I'm not going to do that right now. Oops, maybe I should have. Let me try this again. I think I might have to put that in to look at that. So another website that you might have to have an account with. And again, here's another bait and switch that they give you some of the information, and we'll be happy to sell you the passenger record for $29. Now you and I both all know that you can get this passenger record on Ancestry or probably Family Search. And with this information, we could track it down pretty easily. They give you the arrival date. They tell you the name of the ship and where it left from. I like this because it's not here. It's on a different one. They'll also sell you a picture of the ship, which I don't know. I might be a little more likely to buy, although you could probably find pictures of ships as well. But if you have not had any luck finding your people on, this is what I wanted to go back to. If you haven't had any luck finding your people in passenger lists on Ancestry, give this a try and see if his one-step searching can help you a little bit. Here's the manifest. Again, they would be happy to sell you a picture of the manifest for $30. And the other thing that they can show you is a picture of the ship. I don't know, maybe you'd like to have a picture of the ship. Not that expensive, although I think they will also be happy to sell you a frame. But let's go back just here one more time to the one-step search page. When we were looking for the 1950 census when that came out, there was a part of this web page that helped us, and now he's kind of taken it down because we've gone past that and it's starting to be indexed now. But this is definitely worth knowing about and looking into because it does things that no other website does, and can kind of get behind the search engines of a few particular websites and search them in a different way that only Steve Morse understands. So that's a quick look at his website. All right. Oh, shoot, there was one other thing I was going to tell you. We're going to go back there because this is very important. On this page, as you scroll down, you can see that there are other ports of information and stuff on the US Census, first deaths. Dear. Let me go back up here again and try, excuse me, I hope that didn't make you too. Here it is. If you go through Ellis Island and all the way down here, Ellis Island name change myth. Everybody who's listening tonight, I would like you to, this is your assignment, is to read this article because I can't tell you how many times I've heard people, genealogists who come to the library, family members who say, oh, well, it happened because they changed their name at Ellis Island. That's a myth. And people did not change the name at Ellis Island. And this does a really good job of explaining why and how name changes might have happened, but mostly how they didn't or why they didn't. So if you don't do anything else after tonight, go back to Steve Morse's website, go under the first thing here on the left, Ellis Island, and go down and read about the Ellis Island name change myth. And then you'll become a well-informed genealogist. And you can correct all your ancestors and bang your head against a wall like I do with mine. Not your ancestors, your relatives. Okay. How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good here. Let's go on to the next website, which is Google. Are you surprised about that? You can use Google in your genealogy. Google is more than just a search engine. If you haven't delved into this, Google has a section on maps and a section on books. Those are the two things that we're going to talk about today. And even though Google is not made for genealogists, like, you know, Ancestry or Family Search, we can use Google to help us in our genealogy. So let's take a look at Google here. This is plain old Google. But the part that we want to look at is books.google.com. There's no www in front of it or anything like that. It's just books.google.com. And it looks pretty much like the other Google, except down here in small letters, it says books and says search the world's most comprehensive index of full text books. I'm not going to get into whether that is a true claim or not, but it's Google's site and that's what they're saying. Another thing that is good to know that you would need to use this website to its best advantages to make an account, which I've already done, so you can see that by my my face up here. And I know some people might have not be a fan of Google, let's say. So then you might not be able to use this to its fullest advantage. But take a look at this and see if you think it will be useful in that way. Google has scanned, and I believe they're continuing to scan books that are in the public domain out of copyright. They have some that are in copyright with the publisher's consent that they give little previews of. The ones in the public domain or that are out of copyright sometimes will be full text available. County histories are one good example of that. So let me show you how I found some information on someone from my husband's family. I put in the name, spelled correctly, so Schoenfeld, and it's Feld field in this case. A name change, but it didn't happen at Ellis Island. They lived in Dodge County, Wisconsin. And now keep in mind that this is only searching the Google Books section of Google. And what it does is come up with what they found. Here's a section on, and it gives me a little preview here that on page 484 from the Dodge County, Wisconsin, Past and Present, Volume 2, there's something about William Charles Schoenfeld. And this gives me an idea, or this shows me that the entire book is digitized and available to read. As we go down here, I just want to show you what some of these others look like. This particular one, this name index to Dodge County, does not have a read section here, so we can't look at this, but we can see what it says. No preview available, but we can see a little bit about what it's like. What's that looking like that? Who it's by. Published by the Beaver Dam Community Library, who the authors were. Of course, they'll be happy to get you to buy a copy of it or borrow it, but we're not going to go into that right now. Let me go back here and show you what it looks like when you can actually read the entire book. Here it's taken me straight to page 484, where there was indeed a whole section on William Charles Schoenfeld. Actually, it goes on for more than one page, so I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know that you can print this, but you could certainly use a snipping tool and copy it that way. If you have a Google account and you're signed into your Google, these 9 boxes over here, well, these dots will give you ways to use Google, and I believe that books and maps are on here. Well, it's coming up right away. Let me show you if I did that same search in just plain old Google. Tons of things come up, but over here, although it looks, oh look, it's interesting. That's indexing fine engrave in Google. So, it can't hurt to Google your ancestors. Over here under this more section, here's the books part. So when you click on books underneath more, now it will get me into that, into the results, and it's the same as we did before. This is an example down here. This one that doesn't have anything to do with the Schoenfelds, but Wisconsin cheese factories. No, there was one that said I had a preview. Some of them will just give you a preview or a little snip. Actually, this is the one. When I click on here, just because it says more editions, it doesn't say read and it doesn't say no preview. So when I click on this, what this does is give me an example of where my search terms show up in the book. It's not going to give me any more than that, but it shows me that what there is in the book and gives me enough information for me to decide, do I want to pursue this and try and find this book someplace else? And when I click on this little X up here, here we've got the official proceedings of the board supervisors of Dodge County, Wisconsin for the year, blah, blah, whatever. And I could follow up with that. Another thing that I wanted to show you that you can do in Google is maps. Probably a lot of you have used Google Maps to find directions to things. But if you have an account and are logged into your account, over here on the menu, you can, under the section that says Your Places, you can make maps of your own in right here where it says Maps, which I've done with a couple of things. For instance, this one, Peterson family in Sweden. I put some, you can see that I put some dots on these places. And when I put the dots, when I made them, I was able to put information on them. So this place called Anderslag is where Herman Peterson lived from 1894 to 1897. Or over here, this one is where he lived from 1891 to 1893. And this is where he was born. And then his future wife lived over here, although they didn't meet until they were in Illinois. Therein lies the story. And just like Google, you can, make the maps bigger or smaller so you can see, oh, where did they live in Sweden? They lived in that very little tip down at the bottom. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of a map geek, so I like this a lot. What I wanted to let you know is that, I didn't write it down, Lisa Louise Cook has a book called Genealogist Toolbox for Google, a Google Toolbox for Genealogists. I can't remember what it's called, but I just had it checked out. So if you wanted to get into more of what you can do on Google for genealogists, Lisa Louise Cook has tons of stuff online and, like I said, in that book. Okay, let's keep going because we've got a couple more sites to look at. And the Internet Archive is one that you can really get lost in. So if you're going to look at this, make sure you've got a good, a comfortable seat and plenty of time, because really there's so much here that you can look at. The website is Internet Archive, and the address is archive.org. It's good for books, journals. I'm not sure why it says documents here. I don't know that it necessarily has documents, but it does have some videos too. You can find information about places, maybe your ancestor, but it's also good for social history. And I would encourage you to make an account with this. I don't think you're going to give away any personal information like you would with Google. Let's take a look at the Internet Archive and see how we can use it. Actually, I just watched a video with Lisa Louise Cook on the Internet Archive, and she came up with 10 different ways that you can, 10 different things that you can find for genealogists on this. And she took a whole hour to go through it, so I'm certainly not going to do that. But I thought I'd highlight a couple of things and maybe mention some of the ones that she did. One of the ways that I have used this for in the past is location-based records. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I want to take a little look at this website and just show you that you can search the web, you can search for books, videos, audios like radio or other recordings, maybe even software and images. So the Internet Archive is digitized information from a lot of sources. And if you want to know all about it, you could read the About section here. Again, it's a free website, so they always appreciate donations, but you can contact, you can volunteer. There's just tons of stuff, and I can't say enough good things about Internet Archive. Okay. So location-based searching is a good way to start out. My example would be Princeton, Illinois. And what it comes up with are books and all kinds of information. This is class of 38 50-year reunion, which when I click on this, it will tell me more information about it. Okay, it was published in 88 at their 50-year reunion. And it's pretty intuitive to use. There's a navigation down here, and you can just click on this to page through it, and you get talk about lack of privacy. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, they're probably all gone now. So you can see who these people were, where they lived, and that might give you some clues to do some research later on. There's the city directory. There's the Federal Writers Project description of Princeton. So you can get a real good feel for what Princeton was like during the Depression. Another thing that I thought was interesting, this one, this picture, oh, this is not the one I was thinking of, I'm sorry. See, you can just get so, she's fetching more. Here they are, these pictures. Pictures always draw my eye. Look, here's a telegraph operator in Princeton. So I click on this. I'm like, oh, well, let's find more information. Wouldn't it be cool if your ancestor had been a telegraph operator and, you know, in Princeton? Maybe it was him, or maybe at least here you can at least get an idea of what it looks like, and it looks pretty messy to me. Anyway, below there is more information about this photograph as well as who took it. This Esther Bublé. It gives a little bit of a description, but it doesn't tell you very much that you can see. But what I found is that because her name is hyperlinked, when I click on this, all 297 pictures that they have of her come up here, including some pictures from Chicago, and I think that's Union Station. But if I put her name and then go back to Princeton, Illinois, the pictures that she took of Princeton come up. She took a lot of people. Don't you love this guy? I'm sorry, that's just too much fun. I think he's working in the telegraph. Oh, he's in the Burlington station. I don't know. You could, like, if you were a creative writing person, you could use these for creative writing prompts. And then we got pictures of houses. I wish it said what the address was. It doesn't, but okay, you can see how you can get lost in Internet Archive because there's just tons of stuff here. Let me go back to the beginning by clicking on this. Another thing I found in here that is I thought helpful, there are some yearbooks on here, and so you put in the name of the high school, West Aurora High School, and it brings up quite a few, and it'll take a minute for all of this information to kind of gel, but once that comes up, they have years over here. So on the left, you can kind of filter it down a little bit or see what years they have on here. And let's take a look at the 1919 yearbook from West Aurora High School. I love these old yearbooks. They're so much fun. And remember that Burton folk that we looked at before? Well, his sister is, see, I can make it bigger. There's Norma Falk, Burton's sister. Anyway, don't you just love this? So another way to find your books, you know, if somebody has digitized it and put it up, and if you don't have access to Ancestry, you might want to try looking through here. You can look for church records by searching the name of a church or the name of a denomination. You can maybe try looking for family Bibles. You could try looking for work records, looking for trade journals, or places like the Civilian Conservation Corps or the Works Progress Administration. Some of those pieces of information are on there. I also found a newspaper on here. So you might try putting in the name of local paper. And I found here that each year is one of this particular newspaper is one book or whatever. So as I click on this, then there's 34 pages, but this is the 1st of January. I don't know how often this came out. This one is, and everyone is different. There's the 14th, so maybe it came out every other week. I don't know. Anyway, it's like going through an attic full of treasures. The one other thing that I wanted to tell you about was they have collections of things that have been put together, similar information or collections. Well, these are their top collections right here. So things put together by American libraries or Canadian libraries. They have a collection on arts and music. If you choose one of these collections, you can search within them. I wanted to, or if you want to look for a particular collection, you can click on this little blue box right here, which is what I'm going to do. And in here, I have to search for it. Books to Borrow is one of their collections, which I didn't do a very good job of searching for because I need a space there. Let me see if this will bring it up. And this you do need to have an account for, but here it is, Books to Borrow. So when I click on this, these are all kinds of things that I can't look at all the way through, like I could that other book that we were looking at in Princeton. If I click this, I can look through a few pages, but that's a limited preview. But up here, I can borrow the title for an hour, and then if nobody's looking for it, I can renew it. Renewable every hour pending availability. So make yourself an account, like I've done up here, and you can borrow something that might be of interest to you that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. And here's that search box where it says search this collection. So you could put in the name of a place, and I'm going to, Denshire. Put in the name of a place, see what comes up there. Here's a fabulous book of pictures, old picture postcards. Oh, limited preview, but look, since for some reason it's remembering me and signed me in here, I could borrow this for an hour and maybe it'll let me see a few more things to show you what it looks like inside, or to look at these pictures. Ramsey. Fun. This is the part that tells you about the social history of your ancestors, the kind of place that they lived in. And I'm going to return this because I'm happy with that. Another thing that you can do, let's just take a look at this American libraries. This is showing a bunch of libraries that have digitized things and put them up here. Let's look at this language of flowers. I'm just showing you this because another thing that you can do is make something a favorite. If you have an account here, and here's a list of my favorites. So when you find a book that you think, oh, this is really good, I want to come back to this and look at it again. But who knows if you're going to be able to find it or not. This is a good place to put it. So you've always got it. I found a video of 1920s and 30s farming in America that gave me a real good feel for what a farm looked like in the 20s and 30s. And then I have things from other bits of research that I've done, as well as here's that WPA book. There might be ways to categorize this, I don't know. But yeah, kind of a great way to save and keep the things that you found. Okay, it's getting kind of late, but I've got one more site that I want to tell you about, and that's called WorldCat. The website is worldcat.org, and it will help you find books, possibly get them through interlibrary loan. And if you make an account, you can kind of keep a list of fun books too. So again, this isn't going to necessarily find particular information on your ancestor, but it will lead you to books that can kind of help you continue your research. So let's go to WorldCat. This always comes up saying your library has customized WorldCat. Do you want to go to the Cook Memorial Library site on WorldCat or stay on worldcat.org? I personally like to stay on worldcat.org. You're welcome to go to this if you want, but the search is completely different. And I think it's just personal preference, but I don't like it. So I'm going to show you this instead. Often a little bit will come up that says allow cookies that you have to allow before you can use it. I don't think it's coming up today because I've used that and okayed it on this site already. Anyway, here you go. Find items in libraries near you. This is put out by OCLC, which is a consortium of libraries that lends books to each other. So if you have a particular title of a book, say maybe I found this book called Witches, Rakes, and Rogues. You can tell I've typed this out before, but I think maybe it would tell me about my ancestors in Massachusetts. Here it is. And this is the way you would use this. Click on the title. And sometimes you might have to put in a zip code. I've done that before, so it's remembering it here. That's what the cookies gets me anyway. And it tells me of libraries nearby that have it, like the Newberry, which we probably wouldn't be able to get it from. But for some reason, the Oak Lawn Public Library has it, and maybe we could get it from them. There's a place here that says request item. And you can just put in your first and last name, your library card number, if you are a Cook library card number. If you're from another library, put in your library card, your own library's zip code, and they may have linked with this so that you can request automatically. So you can put in all your information and even make a comment if you want, then click submit, and that will go to our interlibrary loan department. Another thing that you can do is look for places like Chautauqua County, New York. Maybe look for specific kinds of records, church records. I need to do a search here. That I might be interested in looking at. Interesting to note, or it's good to know that sometimes places like the New York State Library or the New England Historic Genealogical Society will not lend out their books. Let's just be honest about that here. But remember that when there was a request item, there was a place where you could add comments. So you could put in here, ask, you know, can the library look for my ancestor, Charles Bassett, in this book and copy any relevant pages for me? Sometimes libraries charge for that. So here our free website is going out the window and you might be asked, would you be willing to pay for this? And you can put that in the comments too. We'll pay for copies up to $10 or $25 or negotiable, whatever. So use that comments box yourself to your advantage. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to tell you about WorldCat. So I'm going to just go back here and wrap it up for a second and then stop the recording. But I want to encourage you to at least try each one of these websites, try searching them, see what you can find, see if there's anything helpful to you, and kind of expand your mind a little bit beyond the ancestry and family search websites we've talked about, and know that there are websites out there that we can use to find information on our ancestors or about the lives that our ancestors led. One type of website that I didn't talk about much, although we've alluded to it, are the websites of public libraries, historical societies, genealogical societies. Sometimes the just genealogy and the historical societies might be linked in the US Gen website that we talked about before. Public libraries, you saw the one that had the obituary index that I was able to get an obituary from. So the public library in the place where your ancestor lived is also a good free resource to see what they have online, or even send a chat or an email to that library and say, how can you help me with my research? So always remember that the public libraries, the genealogy societies and the historical societies from the place that you have been researching. I'm going to say goodbye from the standpoint of recording, and I'm going to stop recording now. Hope this has been helpful to everyone.